Hey everybody, I'm PeanutButterGamer, and normally I script almost all of my videos, but for this particular intro, I didn't script any of it because I wanted to talk directly to you guys and just say thanks. Thank you for subscribing, liking, commenting, favoriting, following, all the ings. But especially thank you so much for watching. I feel like this is a little bit cliche to say at this point, but I cannot believe this channel has reached 1 million subscribers. It's crazy. I've been doing this for 6+ years, believe it or not now. And a lot of things have changed, especially in the beginning, but the one thing that hasn't changed is that I'm still having fun. But yeah, thank you so much. I feel like I couldn't say it enough times, but it's just crazy to me that doing this stuff, doing these videos that I was just doing for fun, and it was my hobby and I love to do it, and just doing something that I love to do, and at the same time I can make 1 million+ people happy while doing it, it just means so much to me. And trust me, I don't take it for granted, and it basically is the thing that gets me out of bed every morning. But yeah, enough of that mushy stuff. I wanted to make a special, more personal video this time, and do my top 10 favorite video games. And hopefully that's not too self-indulgent. I just thought it would be cool to talk about the games I really like, get to know more about the stuff I like, and maybe I can show you guys some games that you've never played before. Maybe you'd be interested in playing them. Some of these probably won't come as that much of a surprise to you guys, but I feel like some of them will be a little bit of a surprise. So anyway, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Let's go. A lot of the games I like are colorful, happy, feel-good type games, but I also love a good scare, and the first game to ever really scare me was Dead Space. I didn't expect too much from it when I first got it because it was somewhat of an impulse buy. But it didn't take long, the first 5 minutes in fact, before I was hooked. And I stayed hooked throughout the whole game. Not only was I genuinely afraid for nearly the entire duration, there was even a few times that I had to pause the game because I was so scared. Oh! It's just a game, it's just a game, it's just a game. Although I do recommend you play it on hard mode because normal mode is just a tad bit too easy. Oh no, Necromorph. I got him. There's not a whole lot of characters in the game, but the ones that are there really add to the experience. And the game throws a lot of twists at you too.
This is suicide, we're going to die out here.
Your lack of confidence in me is to be noted, Miss Daniels.
It's not as action-packed as Dead Space 2, which is also a good game, but it really nailed the freaky atmosphere and the feeling of being isolated on a huge spacecraft. Just do your best to ignore the occasionally glitchy dead body physics. At number 9, I have a game for the Game Boy Advance that I highly doubt any of you would have expected, Tactics Ogre, The Night of Lotus, for the GBA, I already said that.
Am I doing with my life?
I love a lot of tactical role-playing games, like Fire Emblem, for example. Fire Emblem Awakening in particular is a really great one, and I especially like the friendship and romance mechanics. But I also really enjoyed playing the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem when I was younger, and it's one of my favorite games for the system. But Tactics Ogre The Night of Lotus was the game that introduced me to the genre. It was also the first game I remember that allowed you to make actual choices that affected the outcome of the game. It was a relatively simple system, but it did really change certain things, especially the ending. I don't want to spoil too much for people who haven't played it, but let's just say that all my favorite party members died. Halos, Floros, Cheese, Mario. These guys have some really weird names. Towards the end of the game, your party splits up to attack the enemy from 2 different points. Well, I had only been using about 8 to 10 characters, but all of a sudden I needed 16 characters to pull their weight. Better step it up, Glycinia the Fairy. The team needs you. Ooh, ouch. Maybe should have leveled her up a bit. Oh well. But by far my favorite memory of Tactics Ogre was playing it in high school under my desk while I pretended to pay attention. I couldn't even tell you how many times I did that. Good times. What were we talking about again? I've talked about this already on my top 10 Mario games list, so I'll try to make this quick, but I love Super Mario RPG. Although I have genuinely enjoyed a few, I've never been too into turn-based RPGs. But there's just something about RPGs set in a lighthearted, enjoyable setting like the Mario universe. There's funny dialogue, fun but simple combat that utilizes timed hits and special moves, and really odd yet intriguing boss fights, like the Axum Rangers, a parody of the Power Rangers. And as a funny side note, I was actually super into the Power Rangers when this game came out. This is me. I'm not even embarrassed. I was awesome! I beat the crap out of that Goldar! Despite being a Nintendo IP, Super Mario RPG was developed by Square, so naturally they added some new and memorable characters that have been criminally underused in other games, basically never. And I know it's completely implausible, but if Gino was in the next Super Smash Bros., I think I could finally die happy. I love it. That's the one thing I need to be happy, apparently. Not world peace, not feeding hungry people. Gino in Super Smash Bros. That's it. I am a very selfish person. Up next I have Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4.
I already said it. You're good, game. Take 5. Leon Kennedy was a member of the Raccoon City Police Department for a single day when the T-Virus outbreak first occurred. Some stuff happened and he did some cool things, maybe, I don't know, I never played Resident Evil 2. But now he works for the President of the United States. And keeping with his bad luck in early employment situations, his first mission is to rescue the President's kidnapped daughter. Leon is a tough guy.
Just because you killed my small-time subordinate.
Sadler, you're small time.
Hey yo! You just got Leon! But RE4 rarely allows you to feel too powerful or in control. It's a good balance of action and survival horror. Not to mention that it constantly throws new enemies at you. It starts out with zombie-like villagers, moves up to creepy, culty, robed guys, to enemies with chainsaws, zombie dogs, creepy bug things, and it only gets worse from there. And that's not even taking the bosses into consideration. Jeez, the bosses! I don't want to spoil all of them, but suffice it to say, they're pretty much all amazing, and different too. You can now play the game on a few different platforms, but I personally prefer the Wii version because the motion control is actually really solid and makes the game even more fun to play. Just make sure you keep an eye on the batteries. Uh-oh. No, 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 no! A lot of people probably expected this one to show up, Animal Crossing. But even though I love the original and the DS version and have a lot of great memories playing them, I'm gonna go with quality over nostalgia this time. Animal Crossing New Leaf for the 3DS. A lot of games are fun because they allow you to do things that you'd never be able to do in real life. Animal Crossing is not one of those games. As a matter of fact, very few things you do in Animal Crossing are things that you'd actually want to do. Chores, digging holes, heck, even talking to people. I don't want to talk to people, I've got video games to play. But in Animal Crossing, there's just something charming about all of those things. There's always some kind of project you can work on, like personalizing your rooms, reorganizing flowers, collecting all the villager pictures, or making an entire room made of gold. It's just such a feel-good experience. The kind of game I switch on when I'm down, or even the kind of game I play after a long session of something like Dead Space. I can't think of a single game that matches the cheerful and calming atmosphere of the Animal Crossing series, and while I still think there's a lot more they could do with it, New Leaf was a huge step in the right direction in my opinion. Today the mayor, tomorrow the moon! I mean seriously, Animal Crossing on the moon. Other than the fact that it's a terrible idea, it's a great idea. I don't talk about it a lot on my channel, but I really love sci-fi settings. I also really love BioWare RPGs. In fact, I was this close to including Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic on this list, but alas,
There can be only one.
BioWare RPG. And in the end, I had to go with Mass Effect. Mass Effect 2, to be specific. The original Mass Effect was everything I loved from Star Wars KOTOR, but with an original and incredibly in-depth and detailed storyline. You could probably fill an entire book just with in-game info and backstory about enemies, races, planets, etc. Mass Effect also had a really fun third-person shooter action combat system while still keeping the RPG elements of KOTOR. But then Mass Effect 2 came along and it was somehow even better than the original. Shepard dying at the start, although well documented before release, was still a pretty touching moment. But with determination and money, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We can make him stronger, faster, and slightly less attractive. Almost all of Mass Effect 2 is dedicated to improving your ship and weapons, as well as your crew and your relationship with your crew. It all leads up to one epic final mission, and I think it's safe to say it doesn't disappoint. The choices you make and even how long you screw around can and will affect the ending. You can even lose allies if you do certain things incorrectly or ignore certain crew loyalty missions. So your decisions and actions have actual consequences, which is something I really appreciate in video games. When I was 6 years old, I was a sad, lonely, and bored child. I played video games both on the NES as well as the SNES, but it was mostly just co-op games with my brother. Final Fight, Contra 3, stuff like that. I liked video games. I mean, I didn't have any other hobbies, except maybe soccer. And I wasn't very good. I just wasn't exactly what you would call a video game enthusiast. But then something came along that changed everything. Super Mario 64! Mario 64 was game-changing. Now you weren't just looking at 2D side-scrollers or games from up above your character, you could go or look just about anywhere. I remember just swimming around in the water outside of the castle and being amazed by it. If they had released just this alone, I think I still would have been impressed. Mario Swims, the video game! Yes, I like this. This is good. But yeah, it's Mario 64. I've played it a lot, I've talked about it a lot, I've even done this to it. So I'm not really sure how much more I can talk about it at this point. It's not only great, but it was revolutionary and something 3D something, and it's fun. There. Done. It's no secret that I love Harvest Moon, but what most of you probably don't know is that I'm currently engaged because of the game. And I mean that quite literally. In fact, if it wasn't for Harvest Moon, I'd probably be dead. I don't have anything to back that statement up, but it sounds pretty good, so let's just go with it. There's a handful of really good Harvest Moon games, along with some pretty hit or miss or even straight up bad ones. For me, it came down to 2 installments, Harvest Moon Back to Nature for the PS1 or its GBA port, Friends of Mineral Town. While I do think that Back to Nature is the slightly better game overall, in the end, I'm gonna have to go with Friends of Mineral Town, at least in part, for nostalgic purposes. Can you guys even see this? It's pretty small. Just trust me, this Friends of Mineral Town. You know what sounds fun? Nothing you do in Harvest Moon. Seriously, you farm, do chores, and talk to people. Yet from the second I picked it up, I couldn't get enough. I remember being about 13 years old, playing this game for hours, and the whole time I was baffled at just how much fun I was having. And I suppose I was baffled because when you think about it, most of what you do in Harvest Moon is literally manual labor. There is a lot of simulated work going on here. This particular day I'm showing you now was the day after a hurricane, and I spent the entire in-game day working and still only barely finished everything. But you can upgrade your farm and tools to make things easier and even make higher profits, which is one of the most satisfying things about Harvest Moon. All that hard work is worth it once you get paid. Get money, lots of money, get the paper, get the money, and so much money. And nothing's better after a long day of work than going for a late night fish on the beach. I've never been very good at catching fish in this game, but hey, anything's better than going back home to potpourri. Ugh, she's so insufferable. Why did I marry her? I regret my life decisions. Please take me back, Ellie. I mean, come on. One of her favorite gifts is weeds. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe we can make this work. I love fantasy RPGs, and there's 100 great fantasy RPGs I could talk about, but for me, it always comes back to the Elder Scrolls. I love them all, from Skyrim to Morrowind, and even the older games that came out in the early 90s. But if I have to pick just one, it's gotta be the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. I admit that it's at least partially due to nostalgia, seeing as how it came out when I was a teenager with my own computer and way too much free time. But there's also other reasons. One of the biggest for me being the quests. Elder Scrolls games always have great quests, but Oblivion's quest just felt really creative and intriguing. Like a quest that has you enter a painting to save a world-renowned artist stuck in his own creation. Or a quest that has you delving into a tower that has this. Lots of this. Or buying a house for really cheap only to snuggle into your new bed and be woken up by ghosts. You just bought a haunted house! You dingus! This statement has been made a lot with a lot of different games, but there's just so much to do in the Elder Scrolls. I don't know or even want to know how many hours I've spent playing this game or how many characters I've made, and there's still things I've never experienced. For example, all these years playing and I've only recently made my first battle mage and I'm doing the Mages Guild for the first time. So about 8 years after the game came out and I'm just now experiencing one of the more well-known quest lines. It doesn't matter what the quest is, I'm always willing and ready to take it on.
Can you help me find my lost jumbo potatoes?
Well, most of the time. For anyone who's familiar with my channel at all, this probably will not come as a surprise to you, but my favorite game of all time is The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. I could say I love Majora's Mask because it's
Dark and depressing.
and it is. You guys just can't understand my pain. I could say I love it because of the mask collecting, and I do. In fact, collecting all the masks was the reason I started my gameplay channel over 3 years ago. I could say I love it because of the characters who I feel are much more interesting and dynamic than in previous Zelda games like Ocarina of Time, and I do. I could say I love it because of the 3-day mechanic and the reminder of doom constantly lingering above you, and I do. I love it for all of these reasons and more. But in the end, I don't even really know what to say about it at this point. I just love it. It's a special game to me. And I don't suspect that I'll ever play a game that means as much to me as Majora's Mask does. Video games are constantly evolving and getting better, and they'll continue to do so. But in the end, I think something being your favorite has a lot to do with the time in your life that it hits you. And Majora's Mask just came at the right time in my life where I was ready to be amazed by video games. And ever since I started making videos and being active on the internet, I've seen a lot of new people trying out and enjoying the game, which makes me really happy. Hey everybody, thank you again for 1 million subscribers and all the support. If you want to support this channel even further, then please consider signing up for a free trial of Audible with the link in the description below, audible.com/peanut. It's completely free, you can cancel at any time, and you also get a free audiobook, so everybody wins, right? This time I'm suggesting The History of Video Games by Stephen Kent. It's about video games. You guys like those things, right? And if you won't do it for me, do it for Pixel. Just look at how pathetic she is. She also really wants to be put down, so there you go. Thanks. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then why not help me share it by liking, commenting, sending it to your friends, all that stuff. Thank you. If you want to see even more videos, then why not subscribe for more videos? You can check out the last video I did on Pokemon Snap by clicking right here. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. It's important. Links in the description. And wow, did you know I have a gameplay channel where I do Let's Plays and things like that? Holy crap! You can click here to check out Super Mario 64 Chaos Edition on PBG Gameplay. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, thanks again so much for the support, guys, and I will make sure to bring you guys as many videos as possible. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.